You've worked for months to break your child's screen addiction at home, and now they're starting school where iPads are part of daily learning. You're terrified that educational screen time will undo all your progress and reignite their obsession with devices. Your 5-year-old comes home talking excitedly about the games they played on tablets, and you can see that familiar glazed look creeping back into their eyes. You feel like you're fighting a losing battle. How can you maintain screen-free values when the education system contradicts everything you've worked to establish? This dilemma is tearing apart families who've successfully recovered from screen addiction at home. At the end of this video, I'll share the exact 3-step strategy that protects your child's screen recovery while supporting their educational success. The fear that school screen time will sabotage home progress is one of the most common concerns parents face after successfully establishing screen-free routines. You've seen your child transform from a screen-dependent, irritable child into a creative, engaged kid who builds elaborate forts and invents imaginative games. Now you're worried that exposure to educational technology will flip a switch back to the old patterns of begging for screen time and losing interest in real-world activities. This concern becomes more intense when your child starts coming home with stories about the fun games they played on school tablets, or asking why they can't use educational apps at home if they're using them at school. You worry that they'll start viewing screens as rewards or fun activities again, rather than understanding them as tools with specific purposes and limitations. The first thing to understand is that educational screen use is fundamentally different from entertainment screen use in terms of brain impact. When children use devices for specific learning objectives with clear beginnings and endings, guided by teachers in structured environments, their brains don't experience the same dopamine flooding that creates addiction patterns. Educational screen time typically involves problem solving, following instructions, and completing tasks rather than passive consumption or open-ended entertainment. However, this doesn't mean school screen exposure has zero impact on your home routines. Some children do experience what I call technology bleed, where any screen exposure increases their overall desire for digital stimulation. The key is distinguishing between temporary interest in school technology and a return to addictive patterns that interfere with home functioning. Here's your actionable insight. Implement what I call the school-home bridge conversation. Every day your child uses technology at school, within an hour of pickup, ask specific questions about what they learned using the device, not how much fun they had. Questions like, "What did you practice on the tablet today?" or "How did the computer help you learn about letters?" This reinforces that school screens are learning tools rather than entertainment, and helps your child process the experience educationally rather than recreationally. The bridge conversation also includes validating their learning while reinforcing home values. You might say, "It sounds like that math program helped you practice counting." At home, we practice counting with our building blocks and art projects. This acknowledges the educational value while emphasizing that learning happens through many different methods, not just digital ones. The second step in managing school screen exposure is proactive communication with teachers about your family's approach to technology. Most educators are understanding when parents explain that they're working to help their child develop a healthy relationship with technology. You can request information about when and how devices will be used and ask for advance notice about any take-home technology assignments so you can plan accordingly. Some schools are willing to provide alternative activities for children whose families prefer to limit screen exposure, especially if you frame this as supporting your child's individual learning style rather than criticizing the school's technology use. However, be prepared that complete avoidance of school technology may not be possible, and rigid resistance could create social or academic challenges for your child. The third step is strengthening your home environment to provide even more engaging alternatives after school days that include technology use. On days when your child has used screens at school, be especially intentional about offering high engagement activities that remind them how satisfying non-screen activities can be. This might include special art projects, cooking together, or outdoor adventures that feel exciting compared to the structured screen time they experienced in the classroom. Monitor your child's behavior and requests in the days following school screen use. Most children who have successfully recovered from screen addiction at home will show minimal impact from educational technology use. They might mention school devices occasionally, but they won't return to the desperate begging, emotional dysregulation, or inability to engage with other activities that characterize their previous addiction. If you notice signs that school screen time is triggering a return to addictive patterns, increased requests for home screen time, difficulty transitioning to non-screen activities, or emotional volatility around technology, you may need to have more detailed conversations with school staff about minimizing your child's exposure or providing additional support during technology activities. The goal isn't to make your child afraid of or resistant to all technology, but to help them maintain the healthy relationship with screens that you've worked so hard to establish. Children who have recovered from screen addiction often become the most capable users of technology because they understand the difference between purposeful tool use and mindless consumption. Remember that your child's strong foundation of screen-free living actually protects them from being negatively impacted by appropriate educational technology use. They've learned to find satisfaction and engagement from real-world activities, so brief, structured technology exposure is less likely to derail their overall healthy patterns. Trust the work you've done at home while remaining vigilant about your child's responses to school technology. Most families find that educational screen use doesn't interfere with home screen recovery when the school exposure is limited, purposeful, and balanced with plenty of hands-on learning activities. Comment below and let me know what you are currently struggling with relating to your kids' obsession with screens. Click the link or check my bio to discover an ebook that can give you all the skills that you need to stop your child's screen addiction.